Are you feeling too lazy to make a pie but want a delicious dish with all the flavor? Say hello to my blueberry galette recipe. This little guy whips up in a snap and it is beyond delicious. Hey, you're watching Preppy Kitchen, where I, John Cannell, teach you how to make delicious homemade dishes to share with your family and friends. This galette will be ready before you know it, so let's get started. First off, we're cubing 1 cup, 226 grams of cold butter. Cold. If you want to use salted butter for this recipe, that's fine, just don't add any extra salt, okay? Now we're gonna cube it up. And by the by, if you don't have a food processor, that is totally fine. I'll walk you through the steps on doing this by hand, which is how I did it like up until maybe 2 years ago when I finally got my first food processor. I was always like, I don't need another gadget. And then I had a friend over and she was like, you don't have a food processor? And I was like, oh, maybe I'll give it a try. And now I love it. My cold butter's all cubed up. If you're not ready for the next step, pop this into the fridge. It needs to stay cold. Don't let it warm up. I'm adding 2.5 cups or 300 grams of flour into a food processor. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup or 50 grams of granulated sugar. Remember, when you're making a pastry, it's never gonna be super sweet. The filling adds the flavor. Pop the top on, turn it on, and pulse, pulse, pulse. That's good. I'm just gonna pause right now. If you were doing this by hand, just whisk up the dry ingredients in a large bowl, freeze the butter, and then use a cheese grater. Grate the cheese into the dry mixture and fluff as you go along so it doesn't become a giant mass of grated cheese. Then after it's all grated, drizzle in the ice water and then kind of cut it together either with a knife or with a fork to mix it without warming it up. Okay, let's add in our butter. We're gonna whiz this up until they're like little lentil-sized pieces of butter mixed in there. Just pulse, pulse, pulse. All right, here we go. You can see I have chunks of butter, and that's like about the size you want, like a pea size or smaller. We're gonna continue to pulse though, because now we're gonna drizzle in some ice water. Normally in a recipe for pastry dough, I would say like 3 tablespoons of ice water, 2 tablespoons of vodka. The vodka hydrates the dough and doesn't add any moisture though. So it hydrates the dough, lets it come together, but then it bakes off. It doesn't activate the gluten. You can always just use more ice water or add a little bit of lemon juice as well to the ice water. That'll also inhibit things. I'm gonna add about 5 tablespoons of water. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on inside. Right now this looks like a crumbly mess. I'm not gonna put my fingers in there, that's how you get hurt. Does that look ready to you? I don't know, let's find out. Squeeze it in your hand. Almost ready. So it needs a little bit more ice water. You can add 1 more tablespoon in, and these have not been full tablespoons. That's why I just keep adding, because they're only like 3/4 of the way full. I know it's ready because when I stopped the food processor, it kind of collapsed into crumbles. So get a little tablespoon out, pop it into your hand. You can see it turns into dough. So it's crumbly mixture right now, but it will become a beautiful pastry dough. That's what I was looking for. Now we're gonna transfer this to a counter or pastry mat and get it ready for the fridge. There's a couple steps that'll really help you out. Okay, I'm using my fancy new pastry mat Brian got me. I have the horrible habit of cutting on a pastry mat, so I've ruined 2, but this one is so nice, I will never cut on it. You keep me honest. Dump those crumbs out. It's hilarious because it just doesn't look like it's ready. So if this is your first time making pastry dough, you might think, oh my gosh, what is this? I followed the directions. But it's actually great because it does this magical thing. Scrunch it together. Look, you can tell it's gonna work out. I don't wanna knead this, but I do wanna bring it together. This is what pastry mats are good for. Your counter is fine. You can work the dough together with them and not make a huge mess. If you notice, I'm pushing it together like this, but it's still kind of crumbly and you're like, I don't know about this. Here's what you do. You do push it together in a mass, but you're gonna knead it just like 2 or 3 times. So in you go, give it a squish, give it a squish. That's barely even a knead, it's more like a slide. This pastry dough is ready to go into the fridge, and as it chills, it'll really, really come together. You're gonna love it. In the meantime though, before it goes into the fridge, give it a head start. Flatten that disc out because it'll cool quicker and you'll have less rolling out to do afterwards. Cover this with plastic. We do not want it to dry out while it's chilling. This can hang in the fridge for 30 minutes to an hour and it'll be ready to go. Cannot wait to roll this out. Once your pastry dough is all chilled, it's time to set it on the counter. This seems a bit counterintuitive. Why do you want it to warm up when you just chilled it? But it needed to come together in the refrigerator, settle into a mass, and now it needs to warm up so you can roll it up. While this is warming up, we're gonna make our blueberry filling. So in a large bowl, add 750 grams or 4 cups of blueberries. I'm using fresh blueberries, but yes, you can use frozen blueberries as well. You'll just add a little bit of extra baking time to them. Do not thaw them if they're if they're frozen though, don't thaw them. Use them frozen. When they thaw, they explode basically. At this point, I want you to sample a blueberry. That's really nice. If they're a bit flat, we're gonna zing them up with some more lemon juice. If they're really flavorful, you can add a little bit less sugar, you could add a little bit less lemon. So those are actually great. I'm gonna zest almost a whole lemon in. If they were flat and kind of like meh blueberries, I would zest an entire lemon. Sprinkle that in. Now we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of sugar. Now sprinkle in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. That'll be just a little bit of a thickening agent, so it's like gooey and like pie filling on the inside and not too runny. Give this a quick toss. I'm gonna use my fingers. These blueberries are all really nice and coated. The only thing I have to do is add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. That's about half of a lemon, depending. This one is not juicy. Look at this nonsense. What? Now just toss it one last time. Help it along with a spoon because there will be some sugar and flour at the bottom. Your filling is now totally set. And if you wanted to, by the by, you could definitely add like a sprinkle of culinary lavender, cardamom, whatever else you like to zazz up those blueberries, but this is delicious as is. Set this aside, and now it's time to roll our pastry dough out. It's ready. The eggs I need because before I roll the pastry dough out, I will be making a really quick egg wash. 1 egg into a small bowl, add a tablespoon of cream or milk, and now give it a whisk. The egg wash is gonna make it golden, shiny, and just look really nice. Eggs are done. Before I roll this out, I wanna show you all these specks of butter in here. This is a flaky pastry crust to be. Lightly flour the surface of your pastry mat. You could do this on the counter, you can do it anywhere you want, but the pastry mat's fun because it's a surface that you can lift up to invert things and nothing will get stuck. More flour for the top. And if you want to be extra certain, you can flour your rolling pin as well. That often helps. So we're gonna roll this pastry dough out. If we see some cracks, it's okay. As we roll it out though, what do we wanna do? You wanna move it around, just make sure that it's not sticking. If it sticks, it can become kind of annoying. And we're always rolling like from the center out. Here we have a little bit of cracking at the edge, that's fine. Just pinch it together and pinch, pinch, pinch. Rolling it out, and I love seeing the specks of butter that are still there. I'm rolling my pie dough out, so it's about 1/4 inch thick. And it might seem kind of large now, but remember, we're gonna put our blueberries inside and then fold the edges over. So I actually need a pretty big piece. So right now it's a little bit unwieldy. I do wanna flip it over just to make sure it's not sticking. A little bit of flour, and you can use your pastry mat here and roll it over. Magic, it's so convenient. I'm kind of moving things around so I can get more of a circle. Final step, let's just make the edges look kind of pretty. I've gone to the crazy place. You don't have to do this, it's just me. Right now, you need to stop. Don't go further until we transfer this to our baking sheet. If you do, oh, it goes bad. So let's roll this back onto our rolling pin. This can say bye-bye. Thank you for your service. Okay, baking sheet out. Line it with parchment paper and let's unroll this. It's gonna be hanging out. Don't worry, this is fine. Now that it's laid out onto the baking sheet, we can transfer our delicious blueberry filling into the center. You can spread it out a bit. We wanna have a nice border of about 2 inches or so at the edge. So think of it like having a very gentle, oblique mound of blueberries in the center of your galette. It's time to fold it over. This is the fun part. So 1, now a little fold, and I'm just kind of folding and pleating it as I go. This is almost ready for the oven. Now we're gonna brush our egg wash on. Cover all that pastry with the egg wash. Before I pop this into the oven, a final and optional step is just a light sprinkling of sugar on top of the pastry. The pastry is very just lightly sweet, and a little sugar will give you an initial like, With the egg wash and sugar applied, it's time to pop this into the oven, 425 Fahrenheit for about 25 minutes. This will be nice and golden, and you'll see some bubbling, gooey action in the middle. It'll be amazing. Just keep an eye on it towards the end so it doesn't burn. Out of the oven, topped with ice cream and ready to eat. This is my version of heaven. I really hope you get a chance to make this recipe, but before I take a bite, if you like this recipe, check out my pie playlist, all my favorite pies, and some of them are almost as easy as this. All right, now it's time for a bite. Oh my gosh, that is heaven on a plate. The blueberries are bursting with flavor, perfectly sweetened, and that crisp pie crust is the best. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next pie video.